I said, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and to share with your illustrious audience all about this pretty significant disease called type 2 diabetes. It is, one of the things that was told to my mother when she developed type 2 diabetes. And as you know, we lost my mom when she was only 59 years old to this disease. They told her that she had a little sugar. And what that meant to her at that time was that a little sugar was not that big of a deal. And she responded that way, right? I mean, it was more about, well, just take a little bit, maybe don't eat as much cake or, that kind of thing. And it was interesting that nobody told her that what she had was a difficulty in metabolizing glucose. And that's really what type 2 diabetes is. Type 2 diabetes being a diet exacerbated illness is not type 1 diabetes that is because of beta cell. The beta cells are responsible for secreting insulin. And so it's not type 1 diabetes where the beta cells have failed. It is type 2 diabetes where the beta cells are not responding. So the beta cells are still there, but the problem is because the beta cells are kind of stunned, like they've experienced a stun gun kind of situation, they're not able to produce the insulin effectively enough for the body to utilize the glucose that your body makes. And so what that means then is that since it can't utilize the glucose that your body makes, then you end up with things like fatigue. So glucose is the preferred source of energy for your body. And so when you consume food, whatever you're eating, your body is like, let me find the glucose so that I can go into this system we call the Krebs cycle, which is a part of our metabolic processes. And it goes in there and it starts to break down that glucose into very small little packets of energy that we call ATP. And this is energy not only that your body utilizes to perform the metabolic functions that needs to, but it's also the energy that your body can feel, that you can feel, where you feel like I can get up and do something. When you're not able to utilize that glucose, it causes then fatigue. And that's not the only problem with type 2 diabetes or with diabetes inclusively. Type 2 diabetes not only leads to things like this fatigue, but it can lead to things like brain fog. It can ultimately lead to Alzheimer's disease, so that you start having memory issues. But even more than that, the biggest concern that we have about type 2 diabetes is this thing we call cardiovascular disease. And cardiovascular disease is a problem with really the blood vessels that surround the heart. And so then it starts to make it difficult for your heart to function the way that it should. And so not only does it affect your heart, but we call these things end organ damage because it can start to damage other organs of your system, right? So it can start to damage your vision. It can start to damage your ability to actually eliminate waste. It can affect your ability, and that is fecal waste. It can also affect your ability to cause a detrimental effect to the ability to be able to urinate properly. So that it starts to affect different organs, your nerves, your kidneys, your heart, your brain. I like to look at it as a multi-system organ damager. And so that really is the problem with type 2 diabetes. And so in my own practice, I know Kenny calls me Helen because we've been knowing each other since college, but of course he was a lot older than I am. But I am a board certified physician. And so I do see these things in my practice where I see people with type 2 diabetes. And I think that the interesting thing about it is that many people don't really understand the gravity of type 2 diabetes. And most people are just like, well, I'll just take this medication for it. But what they don't recognize is that type 2 diabetes, being a diet exacerbated illness, you may not necessarily have to be on medications for the rest of your life.